is the 11th of Tishrei, the day after Yom Kippur, and the thought came to me that based on an idea that I heard was attributed to the Baal Shem Tov, that and Hasidim in general, the Yiddish saying Nach Yom Kippur is Nach Yom Kippur, which is Nach means afterwards, and Nach also means still. So after Yom Kippur is still Yom Kippur, and I've even read that it said that attribute to the Baal Shem Tov that the day after Yom Kippur is holier than Yom Kippur itself, and I can't verify that, but I read that somewhere. But if he did say that, in fact, it's a pretty amazing thing. At any rate, the reason I'm mentioning this is that while it's after Yom Kippur, the holiest day, or certainly one of the holiest days, it's qualitatively different. I think most will agree in terms of our mental, our consciousness. We're basically fasting and praying all day, and so I'd like to carry that energy throughout the year. And so the idea would be to do Tractate Yoma, which the whole tractate just deals with that one day, and we could take that into 88 days, about 87, 88 days. Again, we're dealing with that same time period that it goes into the question of Mercury. But at any rate, the idea is to do the Tractate Yoma in the next 87, 88 days. And so here we go with Yoma Tractate Yoma, page 2. Page 2a. The Mishnah says, Shivas Yamim Kodem Yom Kippurim, Mafrishin Kohen Gadol Mibeso Lishkas Parhedrin, Umaskinin Lo Kohen Acher Tachtav Shema Yerebo Psul. The Mishnah says that 7 days prior to Yom Kippur, the sages would remove the high priest who performs the entire Yom Kippur service from his house to the chamber of Parhedrin, a room in the temple designated specifically for the high priest during that period. And they would designate another priest in his stead to replace him, lest a disqualification due to impurity or another circumstance beyond his control prevent him from entering the temple on Yom Kippur. Okay. That's the Mishnah. Oh no, continuing. Rabbi Yehuda Omer. Rabbi Yehuda says, Af Isha, looking for a shady place here, it's a little sunny. Wow. Okay, Af Isha Acheres, Maskinin Lo, Shema Tamuz Ishto, Shenemar v'chiber ba'ado uv'ad beso zu ishto. Amrulo, he said to him, Im kain ein lo davar sof. So, basically, okay, well, as soon as I can find a shady place. Here looks like it's good. Very nice. Very nice surprise indeed. Okay. Here we are. Nice. Rabbi Yehuda Omer. Okay, Rabbi Yehuda says the sages would even designate another wife for him, lest his wife die, as it is stated in the Torah portion of the Yom Kippur service, and it will atone for him and for his house. Leviticus 16, verse 6. The sages interpreted the term his house that is his wife. The priest must be married in order to fulfill the commandment. Due to the certain concern lest his wife die, another wife was designated to address that possibility. The rabbi said to Rabbi Yehuda, if so, that is a concern. There's no end to the matter. As what if the designated replacement wife dies? The possibility need not be a source of concern. Okay. Gemara, the Talmud says, Tzana Hasim Shivas Yom Koyim Sreif Sapara. Hayim Afrishin Koyim Soirev Sapara in Beis Lishka. Shal Piabi Ratsafoin Mizrach Lishkas Beis Haeven. Haisa Nikres Velama Nikra Shema Lishkas Beis Haeven. Shikol Masea Bichle Galalim. Bichle Avanim. Bichle Adama. Okay. The halacha of sequestering the high priest due to his performance of the temple service on Yom Kippur is comparable to the sequestering of the priest designated to burn the red heifer. Therefore, the Gemara cites that which we learned in the Mishnah there, in Tractate Parah. 7 days prior to the burning of the red heifer, the sages would remove the priest who burns the heifer from his house to the chamber that was before the birah at the northeast corner of the courtyard on the Temple Mount. And that chamber was called the Chamber of the Stone House, Lishkat Beit HaEvan. Okay, the Gemara explains, and why was it called the Chamber of the Stone House? It is because all the actions associated with the red heifer were performed in dung vessels, stone vessels, and earth vessels, which are vessels that cannot become ritually impure. My time Kevan Itvul Yom Kasher Bepara Ditna Mitamin Hayu Hakoyin Soirev as a para bintabilan Soil Hati Miliban Shel Tzedukin She'amrim B'Moravi HaShemesh B'Orvei HaShemesh Haisana says. The Gemara asks, what is the reason that they were so stringent with regard to the purity of the heifer? The Gemara explains it is since a priest who immersed that day is fit for service and may perform the ritual of the heifer after immersion even before sunset. As we learned in the Mishnah, they would intentionally render the priest who burns the heifer ritually impure and immerse him immediately to remove a misconception from the hearts of the Sadducees by means of a public display of disregard for their ruling. As the Sadducees would say, only by those for whom the sun set was the heifer ritual performed. The Sadducees believed that it is prohibited for priests who began the purification process with immersion during that day to burn the red heifer until sunset, when the purification process is completed. Takinu le'rabanan klei galalim, klei avanim, klei adama, delo likablu tuma, ki hechi delo lizalzulubab. The Mishnah continues, since they would intentionally render the priest who burned the red heifer ritually impure, the sages in turn instituted the stringencies of utilizing dung vessels, stone vessels, and earth vessels, which do not have the capacity to become ritually impure, lest people come to treat the ritual with contempt and perform it in ritual impurity after seeing the red heifer ritual was performed by one who immersed that day. Okay. Ma'ishna tzefona mizracha kevan chatasi b'chatas tzeuna tzefona ksiv ba al el nochach b'nei ohel moed takinu le'rabanan lishka tzefona mizracha ki hecha dilahabi le'keda. Apropos, the Mishnah in Tractate Parah, the Gemara asks, what is different about the chamber located in the northeast corner of the temple courtyard that led the sages to house the priests performing the red heifer ritual specifically in that chamber? The Gemara answers, it is different since it is a sin offering, as the red heifer is referred to as a sin offering in the Torah, and the slaughter and sprinkling of the blood of a sin offering must be performed north of the altar. And since it is written with regard to the red heifer, and sprinkle it before the opening of the tent of meeting, Numbers 19:4, and before the tent of meeting means on its eastern side. Therefore, the sages established a chamber in the northeast so that the ritual of the red heifer will have a distinctive indicator. This will cause the administering priest, to be vigilant in its performance. My Bira, Amar Rabba Bar Chana, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Makom Haya, Behar Habayis, Ubira Shemo. V'Reish Lakish Amar Kol HaMikdash, Kulei, Kroi Bira, Shnemar Habira, Asher Hachinoti. The Gemara asks, with regard to the terminology of the Mishnah, what is the meaning of the term Bira cited there? Rabba Bar Chana said, that Rabbi Yochanan said, there was a place on the Temple Mount, and its name is Bira, and the chamber of the stone house was adjacent to it. And Reish Lakish said the entire temple is called Bira, as it is stated in the prayer of David, to Solomon, my son, grant a wholesome heart, to observe your commandments, your admonitions, and your statutes, to fulfill them all, and to build the Bira for which I have made provision. 1 Chronicles 29:19. Minah Hanamili, Amar Rav Min Yomi bar Chilkiah, Amar Rav Mechasya bar Idi, Amar Rav Yochanan, Amar Krakasher, Asa b'yom hazeh tziva Hashem lasos lechaper alechem, la'asos elu maasei para, lechaper elu maasei Yom Kippurim. With regard to the halachot of sequestering the high priest prior to performance of the Yom Kippur service, and of sequestering the priest designated to burn the heifer prior to performance of the red heifer ritual, the Gemara asks, from where in the Torah are these matters derived? Rav Ben Yomi bar Chilkiah said that Rav Mehasya bar Edi said that Rav Yochanan said, they are derived from Aaron and his sons, who remained in the tabernacle for 7 days prior to performing the service in the tabernacle on the 8th day of their inauguration, as the verse states, as has been done this day, so the Lord has commanded to do, to make atonement for you, Leviticus 8:34, meaning that this mitzvah of sequestering was not limited to the days prior to the dedication of the tabernacle. Rather, it applies to future generations as well. The verse is interpreted homiletically to do. These are the actions performed in the burning of the red heifer, for which the priest performing the ritual is sequestered 7 days in advance. To make atonement, these are the actions performed on Yom Kippur, before which the high priest is sequestered sequestered for 7 days. Bishlam Kuli Krab Paralomitokim Lechaper Ksiv Upara Lav Bas Kaparahi Ella Emakula Krab Yoma Kippurim Kasiv. The Gemara asks, granted the entire verse is not established as referring exclusively to the red heifer, as to atone is written, and the heifer is not capable of facilitating atonement, rather it facilitates ritual purity. Rather say that the entire verse is written with regard to Yom Kippur, as the rites performed to achieve atonement on Yom Kippur are similar to those performed during the days of the inauguration. What, then, is the source for sequestering the priest who is to perform the red heifer ritual? Amri Yalif Tziva 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 Ksiv HaChatziva Hashem Lasos Ksivasam Zos Chukasa Toira Asher Tziva Hashem Limor Malahan Para Afkan Para Makan Prisha Aflahalan Prisha. The sages say in response, derive it from a verbal analogy between the terms commanded and commanded. It is stated here with regard to the days of the inauguration the Lord commanded to do, and it's stated there with regard to the red heifer, this is the statute of the Torah that the Lord commanded, saying, it's Numbers 19 verse 2, just as the term commanded there refers to the heifer, so to here the phrase Lord commanded to do, written in the context of the days of the inauguration, refers to the heifer. And just as here, with regard to the inauguration, there is a principle of sequestering prior to performing the service, so too there, in the context of the halachot of the heifer, sequestering is required prior to performance of the mitzvah. That will conclude Yoma 2a.